Hey there, today I'm going to be talking to you about the first Kingdom's Reign game. Then I will dive into the homebrew world of Pardis. First, by talking about the three biggest unique features that sets this world apart from most medieval high fantasy worlds. Next, I will introduce you to the Kingdoms of the Realm. Finally, I will tell you what happened during this world and what current events played out. And then I will finish off by telling you what the current state of the world is in. Make sure to check out our other videos that I will be posting to further explain certain aspects of this. Okay, I'm going to try to do this on all one shot, so we'll see how it goes. Kingdom's Reign is a tabletop role-playing game. Every kingdom you hear about was at one time a player, just like in D&D. Instead of being a player that controls like a single character, you play an entire kingdom, growing it from a small settlement into a thriving kingdom. Every piece of lore you hear about was made by the players via lore prompts, where we all collectively built our very own homebrew world. And every single conflict, trade, war, treaty, etc. was deliberately created during a year-long campaign. Even the art you see on screen was made by an AI art generator to create just for our scenario what our kingdoms wanted. What you are seeing now is only a fraction of the thousands of messages that were sent back and forth over the hundreds of conversations. However, today I will not be explaining how the world was created, only what it is like. If you are curious about how a game of Kingdom Reign works, please check out my other videos. Without further ado, here's the world of Pardis. In the world of Pardis, before mortals walked the world, gods did. Though what happened to them is only the thing of myths and fables. What is known is that they all died, leaving behind a shrine. This brings us to our first world-defining feature, first of three, which is the rights and the right lands. When all 17 gods died, they were sent to separate realms, separated by time and fate. Each god crafted their own realm to suit their needs. These unique features gave them dominion over certain aspects of Pardis, their old stomping grounds of which they used to live. Think of Pardis like your material plane, your regular world, and then all of the right lands are adjacent universes, you could think. Sometime later came the Age of Mortals. These mortals discovered all of these gods' shrines and knew little about them. It wasn't until a tunneler handed out an ancient tablet that described the gods in detail. These were offered to 8 different small tribes. These tablets began religion to flourish amongst the kingdoms. The gods' unique realms were called right lands, and it is become known that if one was to serve a god justly according to the god's standards, they would be granted right to join the god's right land once the mortal died. 16 different heavens and one all hell. This realization led to the practice of chasing a right, which consisted of trying to become worthy to a god in order to join their right land, which is still a very important part of Pardisian's life today. Be sure to check out my other videos breaking down each god's specific right and right land. Now for the second defining characteristic of 3 of this world, swell storms. Pardis is plagued with swell storms, which are magical winds that blow through and drive anyone unfortunate enough to breathe them in completely insane. You won't know it until it hits you or passes, as you come back to reality hopingly not driven mad. Only the most practiced of monks can withstand these effects. These storms severely hinder growth in Pardis for a long time, just purely due to the fact that people couldn't get past the problem of running into swell storms over and over and over. Oh, let's see. And sorry about that. You won't remember that the tunneler I mentioned earlier, this guy, he didn't just hand out religious tablets to the 8 settlements. He also offered them magical tablets, and with these tablets came the basic forms of magic. One of them, and the only one we'll focus on here, is the defense magic. Found amongst its power was the simple technique of sigilling, which wards off swell storms and protects the surrounding sigil. This made the world a safer place, and many people think that the exponential growth in culture and civilization is due to the generations of Pardisians not being subject to the madness of the swell storms. Though swell storms are still rare, traveling outside sigilled cities without a sigiller with you is considered dangerous to this day. The last defining feature of this world are the wisping whispers. Anytime a secret is uttered or any information that is of high value is not safe. The words can be carried upon actual winds that blow across the realms. Mostly, these winds sound like utterances of nothing. However, to a trained member of the SSS, which is this a group that organizes and captures these, they can corral them by parking under them with unique tents and letting the storm roll over, deciphering what secrets the realms have to share. Though there are plenty of other unique features to Pardis, it's better to just have you figure them out as we go along. Be sure to check out the World Anvil link in the description to see this amazing world and all of its homebrew juiciness. Now is a brief overview of the kingdoms that exist in Kingdom's Reign, with a friendly reminder that these were all player characters that created all of these kingdoms and all of these conflicts amongst each other. First is Hearth. At first sight, one might think Hearth is your typical perfect fantasy kingdom full of glee. Hearth is a melting pot of races focused on adventure. Though that assessment is true, Hearthians have they have an entitlement air about them that gets them involved in many of the realm's hottest issues. A champion of peace in the realm is their foreign strategies, yet often corrupt when the needle gets pointed at them. Hearth sports lively and entertainment-driven culture, heritage focused on adventuring out and braving the unknown, a precious democracy, and a fierce counter-military measurement. The Goldscale dynasty, devoted to the goddess Lazion, who is the mother of love and reproduction. The Goldscale dynasty runs a monarchy committed to expansion and repopulation. The Dinians take much of their pride in cities and vast cultures. The dynasty made its concerted effort to colonize or trade for land in each corner of the world. With little military, the sheer number of population that the Dinians were able to create act as their safeguard to tyranny. Obviously, the Goldscale dynasty heralded dragons as majestical creatures and sought to them as leaders rather than tools for bettering a kingdom. Next is Vorlong. The Fanu Vela were plagued from their conception. The flame of creation was their life force. Almost immediately after the tunneler handed out the tablets, the flame started to slow, diminishing and dwindling. Along with it, the average life expectancy of the Fanu Valley went. The Fanu Vela looked to religion as their first plan of saving, with a strong military force being second. Donartha is quite a complex and controversial kingdom who have changed quite a lot over the years. They are water elves who settled on lakes in the world's central body mass. Due to their race and proximity to the Admiral's Shrine, that's a god, they quickly took to having a strong religiosity towards the god of rivers and sea. However, lust for power took over Donartha as the early stages that led them to become warlords. Military took importance, and the old ways of serving the Subselvan, that's the god, were forgotten. Hajim. The Halaju were dwarf forged in the sands of the oasis that pride themselves in military prowess. Family values and their kingdom's history plus their heritage play much importance to Hajim. They always found themselves standing for their values, even if it was an unpopular opinion. Those values included respect for chance, fate, and happenstance. The unpopular opinion was slavery, which Hajim intended to carry out for much of their kingdom's reign. However, always sporting a powerful military to back their ideologies, Hajim was also the first kingdom to find dragons, which played an important part in their history. Lalatula. Almost none of the kingdoms were intrigued by magical side of the Tunneler's tablets, except for the kingdom characteristics as they paved the way for swell storm control and the use of refined swells into spells and controlling and the art of spellcasting. That is all thanks to Lalatula. Though useful, the magic was seen as beautiful and should be treated thusly. While all true, they also had a very strong initiative to create a powerful government controlling the world through an espionage agency. Lalatulians were mostly high elves, but you couldn't tell because most of them wore unique and expressive face coverings and masks to hide their shady dealings. Next is Axelphage. A scholar once joked that Axelphage was too busy working to attend the Tunneler's gifting ceremony. They were mainly humans who widely rejected the newfound religions, the magic, and magical revelations. They believed hard work would always place Axelphage on top of whatever they did. They did work and produce and trade harder, faster, and better than any other kingdom while focusing on explorative initiative to ensure that they were the first to find the harvest of the world's newest natural resources. Next is Amenhotep. Once the Tunneler handed out the religious tablets, Amenhotep had found their calling. They're a group of black-skinned, jungle-dwelling half-elves that have secluded themselves amongst the ziggurats and pyramids in order to pledge service to the newfound gods. They are watching, in quotes, quickly became their famed moniker as they served the gods above one god above all else, Zes, the Watcher of the Cosmos. Amenhotep quickly took to religious slavery as a main proponent of economical and cultural growth. The Amens were high-class clerics and paladins doing most of the divine work, while the Teps were slaves in the jungle slums, being forced to do the gods' dirty grunt work. Next, we will cover the history of Pardis. As a reminder, we played a full year-long campaign where the players were the pawns, always shifting. Several times world events came through and changed the world drastically, and the kingdoms had to adjust. This will cover only the most important moments in the history, but many of these moments were long time coming, and only a final domino falling in a long line. Please feel free to watch other videos of this channel about the complex and compelling history of Pardis. And before I get on to this review, I think it is going to be quite long, so I'm going to end this introductory video here.